What's up, you guys? All right, well, here we are locking up another green day. The market is just, it's crazy right now. It's so hot. This is I think the hottest market that I've really ever seen. Even as I say that, there were times back in 2014, 15, and 17 where the market was really hot. We had the shipping sector kind of crazed for a little while. Then we had all the cryptocurrency, Bitcoin related stocks in 2017 going into 18. And maybe those times were just as hot as now, but I wasn't as good of a trader then, and I wasn't able to capitalize on those opportunities in the same way that I can now. And I would say even in the last 6 months, I'm a better trader, and that's been a big part of because of the lessons I learned from the 35% market drop about buying dips and buying off support, which I previously really wasn't comfortable doing. So a little bit of an evolution in my strategy there to do that, which has generally been a good change, a new strategy to add to the tool belt. So in any case, today, leading gappers, WAFU, HHT, both China stocks, both gapping up over 100%. HHT had, I think, 5 million shares of volume pre-market. WAFU had over 5 million shares of volume pre-market, actually had a pre-market high of 1545, and at one point was a 400, almost 500% gapper, which is crazy. Now, out of the gates, it sold off, and I was a little timid on it at first. I traded with small size because I didn't see a clear catalyst. One of the things that we're talking about right now during summer school for Warrior Pro students is the importance of finding out what the catalyst is, what's driving the stock higher. And when there isn't a clear headline, it always makes me feel just a little bit nervous. Again, this still ended up being a really high volume, easy stock to trade, relatively speaking. Day trading is not easy, but as far as that goes, it had some really nice setups, which was good. But yeah, the lack of news made me a little nervous. So I was cautious at first. It sold off, and by about 10 a.m., I was up around $10,000 to $12,000, and then we had the break of VWAP. It broke VWAP and ripped from 12. We actually bounced from 9 to 10, 11, 12.36. That was a breakout spot, and then up to 13, 14, back up to the pre-market high of 15.50. Amazing. So that was where I stepped up to the plate. That was where I made the money, and I'm walking away today with $58,000 of gross profit. So market's hot. And I was a little cautious coming in this morning, and even at 10 a.m. I was only up 11,000. So I was kind of like, well, maybe today's a day just to ease off the throttle. And I said my only hope of having a big day at this point is if WAFU breaks VWAP. It broke VWAP. So that gave me my trade. Tomorrow, I might not be so fortunate. Tomorrow I might end up, being stuck with smaller profits if everything that gaps up fades, we don't have any break of VWAP, and we don't have any good opportunities. And if that's the case, I need to ease off the throttle. So it's been raining outside today. I don't know if you guys can really see super well through the screen, but it's been raining outside today, and I kind of think about if you're like a race car driver and you're trying to set like record lap times and back-to-back record lap times, you're training, you're trying to get really sharp for the race or whatever. You can't expect that on a rainy day you're going to set a record lap time. It's not going to happen, right? And so with trading, I'm having a record month right now, and so there's a part of me that wants to really, see how good I can be if, I really just let myself be aggressive. But if we have a day where the market's slow, we don't have good gappers, or where everything's fading, I can't go pedal to the metal, because if I do, I'm going to wipe out and I'm going to have a big red day. And it's not uncommon for me to have a hot streak that then ends with a big red day. So that's when I'm kind of getting a little anxious about. And even every day when I sit down, I'm like, is this the day that I'm going to get caught in a big drop? And I had a couple close calls yesterday, a couple close calls today, which we'll break down in the recap, but I got through. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoy the recap. Questions, comments, leave them right down below. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, the thumbs up button, and I will see you guys tomorrow, Friday, as we finish up the week with one more live watch list and hopefully a couple more green trades. All right, see you guys in the morning. What's up, you guys? All right, so we're gonna do our recap today, go over the trades from this morning. Traded 3 stocks, 3 Chinese companies, and I'm up $58,979.88. When we look at my P&L, once I import these trades, tomorrow we can actually look at the intraday equity curve. So you'd be able to see as my profits increase as the day goes on. So for instance, I'll just put this up here so you guys can see. So this was yesterday's. Was this yesterday or was it the day before? I can't remember. But in any case, this was the equity curve. Yeah, and this is from yesterday. So I actually started red on the day pre-market and then made some money. As you can see here, a little pullback, a little more profit, a nice bit of profit there, more profit, little pullback, a bigger pullback, and then came back up, and I actually never got back to my high of day. I closed, I guess at whatever this was, 132, and I was up closer to 140 for a second. Today started a little different from that. My first trade, I didn't trade take any trades pre-market. So we had our watch list this morning, which was WAFU and HHT. These were the two that were gapping up the most. So if we go back to a historical date and time, I can run this for 9:25 a.m. So at 9:25 a.m., WAFU was up 382% on 5.3 million shares of volume. HHT was up 116% on 5.9 million shares of volume. Right now, WAFU has 38 million and HHT has 36 million. So these are both very thickly traded, easy for me, relatively speaking, to get in and out with 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 shares, not a problem, which is great. I mean, ultimately, that means you can make more on them. So the first trade right out of the gates this morning, I was a little cautious because I was kind of like, I'm not sure which of these two are going to be stronger. The thing with WAFU was that you can see this very clear lack of a news catalyst. And, I was just I was a little unsure about that. I said, hey, does anyone else see news? No one else saw news. It's a Chinese stock. They do, I guess, online educational stuff. And obviously with schools being closed and everything else, these companies have been doing well. But, to be up 400% pre-market with 5 million, almost 4 million shares of volume or whatever it was, without an actual news headline feels risky. So I was a little nervous on that. The pre-market high was 1545 right here, and that is actually now a very well-respected level of resistance, which is, I guess not surprising. The pullback kind of double bottom down here at around 7 as it dipped in this area. And so out of the gates, my first trade on it was a long for the break over $11. So kind of right out of the gates, I saw some green on the time and sales. It started to pop up, and it popped up to 1141. I took 2,000 shares, and I sold at 1118. And I didn't even look at my profit loss, but I was like, all right, well, 2,000 shares, that's a couple $100. It's nothing super exciting. And then it right away started to dip. So I was like, all right, you know what? I'm just going to leave that one alone for the time being. So I left that one alone, and I'm just going to duplicate this. Let's see. Duplicate page. And the other one I'll set up to HHT, which I only took one trade on, so probably don't even really need to duplicate it. But I just don't want to lose my place on WAFU. So HHT was gapping up as well. The pre-market high on that one was actually $1.65, but it is a cheaper stock. So I wasn't, I was kind of like, I like the idea of it, but being that it's cheaper, I'm not sure that we're going to see good follow through. I don't know if it's really going to be something that I'm going to want to trade. Let's just see. Typically, I don't trade stocks under $1. This one was at about $1.05, and then I got in at $1.23 or 24. So right out of the gates, I had said this was a pre-market pivot because it had squeezed up to a high of 65 and then pulled back, tapped $1.24 and then dropped. So I thought if it breaks $1.24, then we might have a shot at seeing a move up towards the $0.50. So I jumped into it right out of the gates with 15,000 shares, which I think was totally fine, very thickly traded, no problem getting in, no slippage. So in with 15,000 shares at 23 or 4, added another, I think, 2,000 shares for the break of 30, and it halted going up at 34. So I had 17,000 shares. I think that was the biggest position that I had today. It ended up opening and squeezing up to like 42 and then dropping back down. I hit the bid and sold and locked up $1,500 of profit. So not a home run, but that's fine. That actually was a bigger trade than Wafu in terms of, the first or second trades helping me build a cushion. So then if we switch back to Wafu, and I'll just close that page. So back to Wafu, it sells off here, and I actually took a dip trade long, 1,000 shares at $8.88 and added at $8.90. So that was 2,000 shares long right on this false break basically of $9. So I bought that dip. I thought $9 psychological level that we would see some support there. So I bought that dip and it popped up, as you can see here, from 9 up to 950 and then a little bit higher. So I took made almost $1,000 on that trade with 2,000 shares. And then I started increasing my share size to 1,500 shares from 1,000. So you can see right here, this says 1,500. So I started increasing my size after I started to feel like I was getting a little bit of a profit cushion. But realistically, I didn't have, I was only up a couple $1,000s on the day. So if we actually, let's see, I had one trade that I took, which was kind of a interesting one. I'm trying to remember where it was. So I think it was when I got long for the break of 12. So let me just look at, yeah, it was right here. So I got long, once it broke the VWAP, I was thinking, okay, this might squeeze from like right here back up through 1239, that pre-market pivot, and then a move up towards 15. So as it started to squeeze up here, I took a couple trades in this area for the break of the VWAP. Again, buying high, selling quickly, taking some profit off the table, then getting back in high, tight stop, taking a little more profit off. And I ended up adding 6,000 shares up here at 12. In this candle, it flushed this candle right here down to $10, and I was down 12,000 bucks. And I was like, oh my God, I'm right $12,000 on this thing. And at that point, I was only up about 4,000 on the day, maybe 5,000. I was up on the day, but not by a lot. And so that trade basically in that moment put me red on the day, and I was like, all right, yesterday was a big day. The day before was a big day. I need to be really careful. It pops back up, and I get out for probably a $3,000 or $4,000 loss. All right, so I'm green on the day, but not by a lot. Consolidation through here. I did some dip trades off the VWAP, selling into this squeeze up back towards 12. We got a nice move back up to 12, whatever this was, 1230. But again, another drop. Off of the lows, I was doing dip trades, selling into the pops, buying dips, selling into the pops, quick trades there. And then it kind of just kept going lower and lower. And I kept buying dip trades and trying to catch a little bit off the bottom. And then right here is where things started to turn around. This was a bear flag at the low. And I actually wanted to buy down if it broke and tapped $7, but it didn't bounce off 7. So it ended up coming up, and as it broke 8, I thought, you know what? I'm just going to take a starter here at $8. So this was what time? This was like 10, a little past 10. So at this point, I think I was up maybe $11,000 on the day. I was like, all right, it's a good day, all things considered, but relative to the last few days, this isn't that great of a day. And I said, my best chance of this turning into a really big day is if this breaks the VWAP. But down here, I was like, I don't know that it looks good. It's really sold off quite a bit. It went from 12 down to almost $7. So I didn't really think it was going to come back to the VWAP, but I did take the bounce over 8, popped up to 9. 1 minute pullback right here, back over 9, popped up to 940. 1 minute pullback right here, back long at 940, and it rips up to 10. 1 minute pullback right here, and it rips up to 12 and gets halted. Pretty incredible. It opens low. Actually, it opens just a little low. I bought a dip on this. It rips up right here, and I was taking profits. It squeezed up to 15. So by right here, I was up 35,000 on the day. This, right in this area, was where I made about 25 grand. It was a fantastic trade. Now it's pulling back, and where do I go long? I actually bought a dip off of 13 and then added at 1450 for this ABCD setup. We had a false breakout right here. It dropped back down, it then came back up and then ripped through, as you can see right here, hit a high of 1539, and I made some profit in this area buying these dips and selling up here, but then I added at I think it was $15.18 or something like that, anticipating the break over 1550. It flushes down. I added on the dip off of 12. It bounces up for a second, or maybe it was off of 13. It bounces up for a second, then goes lower. I cut the lost probably $6,000 on that trade, and then it halts going down. As it resumes, I got long down here and caught a little bounce on it and made back a little bit, but I am closing today a little off my highs because I added right in here for what I thought was going to be the breakthrough 1550. I suppose, I mean, again, this was a high risk trade. We know day trading is risky in general. This was a nice technical setup. It's a break of VWAP. It was on high volume. Everything looked good here, except the fact that we didn't have a clear catalyst. That was the biggest problem. So, we've seen some momentum in China stocks today. FFHL also popped up. HHT, obviously, WAFU, WAFU. And yesterday we had Duo. The day before we had Duo. So we've had a couple of hot stocks in the China sector. And that's been the sector that's been, kind of giving us some good opportunities right now. But it always feels risky to be trading something with no news, because that presumably short sellers are going to be more confident and long traders are going to be a little timid, and that can create weakness. And so it's not totally surprising that we saw a couple of big drops. This one here, and also this kind of sharp drop here and up here. Smart short sellers probably taking short positions near the highs, thinking, it's got no business being up this high, it's going to go lower. And, you're right in this case, but of course, other times we've seen stocks rip through 15 and then off they go to 16, 17, 18, 19, and it doesn't make sense. The market is not always logical. The market can be irrationally strong, no question about it, and irrationally weak. And if you just sit there frustrated, holding, thinking this is going to reverse, I mean, you could be a trader that's holding something that, God forbid, ends up doing something insane, like going from 10 to $60. You can't be stubborn with trading. You've got to really accept defeat when you are wrong. And so, I did have a couple losses today that I cut pretty quickly, which is good. I had the one that was bad, but I managed to avoid that being a really bad loss. So kind of a slow start to the day. No pre-market trades, not a lot of profit in the first 15 minutes, but this break of VWAP is where I made the bulk of my money today. So if I hadn't traded that right there, I probably would have only been up about 11 or 12,000 on the day. So this goes to show that staying a little later than usual, past 10:30, right now is paying off in this market. We'll have periods where sitting here till 11 is just going to be a waste of your time. You might as well just, leave early. But right now, we're definitely seeing some opportunities. And I wouldn't say that WAFU is done for the day. I think that there's certainly probably going to be dip opportunities. There's maybe a double bottom that'll be down here. But at the same time, with no news, once momentum traders kind of give up on it and say, oh, this is an ugly chart, I don't trust it anymore because of a couple of false breakouts, then it's really going to be in the hands of the bears and the short sellers. So I would be really careful. You never want to look at this and say, oh, I'm stuck in the trade. I'm in here at 13 because I tried to do a dip and I didn't cut it. I'm stuck. You're never stuck. You can always cut your loss. And with these types of stocks, most of them, they're not companies that I'm going to expect are going to go up to $50, $60, $70 and start paying out dividends and be a really strong company. They're short-term opportunities, and we capitalize on those, but these aren't things I want to be holding long-term by any means. So I want to take the profit, and then I want to walk away and try not to overstay my welcome. Today, I overstayed my welcome a little bit. I gave back a little profit, trying to catch that break of 1550. Didn't work today. Maybe another day it would have. Maybe if this had a catalyst, it would have. But and maybe even without the catalyst on another day, it might have gone. But today wasn't the day. Again, it's only 11 a.m., so who knows where it'll be by the end of the day. It could be at 18 or it could be back at $4. I mean, you could easily see either one happening. We don't have a crystal ball. We don't know what's going to happen. I don't, when I sit down each morning, I look at the leading gappers. That's what I do pretty much every day. I look at the top 5 leading gappers and I see how much are they up. What's the percentage change? Do they have news? And in this case, there was no news, which gave me a little bit of a reason to be cautious. And I was initially on my first couple trades, but once it started to open up, I stepped up the risk a little bit more. So we did get some nice trades on it, and good job for those of you guys that did lock up some profit. And this right now is, the month of June is the best month of my career. The market is crazy, crazy hot, but be careful. Don't get overconfident. You might be in a market right now where you can get away with being a little sloppy because stocks, have ugly drops sometimes, like in here, down here, and then still pop back up. In another market, if you do that hold and hope, you might just lose every single time. So this, unfortunately, isn't a market that necessarily gives you the opportunity to exercise a lot of discipline, because the market can reward you for being way too aggressive. And yesterday I was watching my live trading from the day, and I was like, oh my God, I was being so aggressive. But it was the right day to be aggressive. The market was hot. So, it's just, again, you've got to kind of stay grounded. And one of the things that I know about myself is that after a couple of really big green days, it's really common for me to have a huge red day. And, if I had taken a trade on this and it all of a sudden halted going down with 8,000 shares and, gapped down 2 points, I could have been looking at a $16,000, $20,000 loss. And so I tried this morning to be really mindful of, you're starting the day from zero. Put yesterday behind you, trade today the best you can. And I started conservatively. I started with small size, 1,000 shares. That was my first trade. 1,000 shares added to 2,000. And so, with an initial risk today of maybe $300, $400, I have now worked my way up to here. But, again, I will also say that I've been trading for almost 10 years, and this hot streak that we're having right now, I would say is, in my memory, I feel like this is the hottest I've ever seen the small cap market. During 2017, early 2018, when cryptocurrency was really, really strong, the market was really, really hot, but I wasn't capitalizing on it nearly as well as I am now. This is 3+ years later, and I'm a better trader than I was then. So, this is not only a really hot market, but now I'm in a place where I can really trade it super well. So I think one of the things to kind of keep yourself optimistic about when you're learning is to try to keep building your skill, not necessarily expecting you're going to do, as well as I am right now in this market, but that the next time we have a hot streak, that you'll be able to really capitalize on it, better than you have this last one. And even for me, there have been opportunities where I could have traded some of these better. So it's not like my learning is over. I'm still learning, and I'm still trying to be a better trader. And one measurement of a better trader is a more profitable trader, but another measure certainly would be things like your accuracy, your profit loss ratio. And my profit loss ratio from yesterday probably isn't great because I did have one $12,000 or $13,000 loser, or maybe it was 15, whatever it was. But that one big loss all of a sudden ruins my profit loss ratio for the day. So I still have some work to do, but clearly the market's hot. There's a lot of people out there that are doing really well. Give yourself a pat on the back if you're booking some profit. If you're not, go back and study the charts, study your trades, where you got in, where you got out, and ask yourself, what could I have done differently? All right, so that's it for me. Summer school is going to start here in about 10 minutes. So Warrior Pro students will jump over to the summer school room, and I will see you guys all first thing tomorrow morning back here for the watch list. And that right there was an entire video with no ads. I don't monetize my YouTube channel with video ads, which means you guys get to enjoy the content. But do me a favor, please hit that subscribe button and give me a thumbs up and let YouTube know that this channel is the channel to watch if you want to learn about day trading.